I just want to take this opportunity to, introduce the next speakers. I'm sure none of you know who they are, but I just wanted to give them this honor. They've been a gift to Julie and I. We've known them for a long time, and to be honest with you, when we first met them, we kind of kept them at arm's length. And we sometimes do that as humans because we don't know what their intentions are. We didn't know anything about him, and he's got spiky hair, and we were just concerned, and we're like, I don't know about this guy. But they have been a blessing to us, and the gift that they are to us as individuals is this their passion and zeal for not just couples, but I've seen Jody and how she relates and her way of being around women that struggle with childbirth and infertility, and Zach's way of being around men and helping them in business, and they both are a blessing in a number of different ways. But Julie and I have been around the block a few times in our marriage, and we know trying to put something on like this can really put stress in a number of different situations to try and take care of all the guests. And they've been an unbelievable host, not only this year, but even last year and throughout the years with the Facebooks and all the things that they do. So I'm going to ask you guys to continue to keep them in your prayer. Life is about making the invisible visible. And God has given that to us. And then every time I see Jack, that's what I see. I see God's gift in that because I know the struggles that they've had. And to see that boy smile does their heart well, it does my heart well. And it's just been a blessing to be around him, even though he's caused some damage to Mom this week. But we know that God's still got a tremendous message to lay in our heart tonight. And so if you guys would please give a warm welcome to Zach and Jody Gray.
I really just want to be cool. I've always wanted to wear sunglasses indoors, and I'm like, this is my chance, suckers. And I'm really sleepy, so if I fall asleep, you will have no flippin' idea. Can we move that in the center? So I can see if it's possible. Not like I can see you. We want to share with you guys a bit of what God has really put on our hearts, obviously, and what we're working through now, and what's always been a continual journey and a continual process. And we're all here this week to kind of dive into our marriages, dive into business, and really kind of refocus and realign and see, what this next year lays out to us. So before we get into the goodness, we want you all to take out a paper and pen or your iPhones. We know you aren't texting, but we do have cameras in the ceiling that will be checking on what you all are doing. And write down 2 successes that you want to see this year. So just take 60 seconds.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, what Jeff said means a lot to us. This is an interesting business, especially when you get into the industry side of it. And, Jody and I have had many interactions with people in this industry where, we are looking to build a connection to help our business, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think we've always looked to a lot of our close friends and people like Jeff and Julia as people that we looked up to and we wanted to learn something from and knew they had a lot to offer. And I think we all can agree that they bring just a wealth of experience and knowledge to this retreat, and they've blessed us tremendously. And I've already said that a few times, but it means a lot to hear that from Jeff, that they gave us a shot, and we have the right attitude, we have the right reason to want to connect to them, and we just feel very blessed to be here, to be a part of this. But we also feel it's funny that the longer we've been doing this, the less qualified I think we feel to do anything that we do, especially in a retreat like this that's about marriage and connection and honesty and openness. And I know we pursue all those things, and we're not the poster child for the greatest marriage on earth. But we're always working towards it. I think, as Jeff was talking about Jackson, I just immediately realized just how much I miss him right now. How much I wish he was here. And I wish there was a picture of him in the slideshow, which there's not, so I could just look at his face.
He's failed his parents.
I've got a picture of his face right here on my phone, and then that reminds me of just that life that he has and that he brings to us, and that really is a big part of our story for some of you that are new here. And I know that's very off topic from what we're even talking about, but it's a huge passion of ours talking about children and having children. If anybody's read our blog, It's the Gray Family, we talk about the loss of 3 of our children, and we know that that's a sensitive point with some of you even in this room. But there's hope. We don't have answers, but we just know that there's hope. And not everybody gets the hope that we got. We're very lucky and we're very blessed to have him. And we hope we get another one. We really do. But today, like Jody mentioned, we're going to talk about what she said, to start us off, just what are 2 things specific things that you really want to see success in this year, whether in your business or in your marriage. And then we want to do our best to really be open and honest about our story and where we've been and where we feel like we're going right now this year. Last year we shared a lot about our struggles with starting a family. It was very difficult for us to do. Jody's been incredible to be able to open up and share that because it's a very sensitive topic to her as well. And today we want to share more about something that I really feel like God is leading us into. And I say leading us into because we're not there. We haven't figured it out, but we know that this is the direction that we're supposed to be going in.
So we want to share, for us, I know, this is like the 1 of 2 great wedding photos we got. I hope this doesn't go back to him, but he was a friend.
Shot on film, that's why it came out good.
Zach and we got married back in 2005, the end of 2005. And at that point, we were getting out of debt. I was making the big bucks, $24,000 a year. What up? But the funny thing is like we were living off my income. Zach was kind of trying to figure out what he was going to do with his life, and we were actually pretty content. We had gotten out of debt, and we had the goal of saving up for our home, and it was funny, like I look back on those times, I'm like, those were times where I felt like there was just a peace.
Yeah, there was just this really amazing sense of purpose. We were together, we were on this journey of life together, and we were excited about our newlywed Sunday school class that we were going to, and we didn't care about homes and cars and success and building a business, and none of that stuff was even a thought in our mind. There was a little bit of something deep down inside of me because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing as far as a career, and I knew that mattered, but I just remember this sense of calmness. There's this sense of contentment, and it was a really beautiful thing. And as we started thinking about what to talk about at this retreat, what we thought was going to be impactful to you guys from our story, we started sort of unpacking some of that and digging into the story of, we've told the story a million times of how we grew our business and we were blessed, it became successful, and we started helping other people with their business and all that. But the part of the story that we've sort of neglected over the years is the part where the busier we got, the more focused that we were on building this business and really trying to perform so that we could show people that if you perform, you succeed. So we wanted to make sure that we were performing and succeeding so that we could teach that and tell that to other people. And we were driven. I'm very driven to win because I never could win before. I never knew how to win. And as we're driving, it started to become a very hazy line of, was what we were doing trying to win to make more money, to be more popular, to get on a platform, to be able, because we want to be on a platform to help more people because it's visible. But then there's also that draw of that's the purpose, and it's exciting and it's fun to be a part of all of that. And like I said, there's that fine line between that becoming what we were about and our purpose.
Yeah, our purpose began growing and began doing more and getting out there more. And let me move my chair back. I feel like I'm like cutting off half of you. Our purpose began about doing that. And in all of that season, and in all that season, we had times of less contentment when we were making killer money. We had killer clients. We were doing all this amazing stuff on the outside. But on the inside, we were way less content than we had ever been before.
And I love this. The pursuit of success should never become the purpose. You know, we all somewhere deep inside know that, but we really have been challenging ourselves with what is the purpose of us trying to win, the purpose of us trying to succeed in our business, and what does that really mean? You know, what does it mean deep down when, you know, I was having a conversation with Alan earlier, and with who's from not Puerto Rico, Honduras. Tell me your name again. Say it again. Christian. Is that close? Terrible. We were having a conversation about, you know, I remember one day in our business 2 years ago or something, we had a huge, we made more money in a day than we used to make in a year. And the next day I was afraid. The next day I was afraid that we weren't going to be able to ever do it again. And it was, how can we do it bigger? How can we go more and grow? And it was like, it's becoming sort of this pulse of my life and the driving force of, to not just make more money, but to if you're not, you know, they always say in business, if you're not growing, you're dying. So I'm like, we got to be growing, we got to be doubling, we got to be doing more and more and more. And it started to become very weary on us both. And yeah, and that's kind of that place that we've been in for the last 2 years, is really repositioning what we believe about what we're supposed to be doing.
And I was asking ourselves, are we doing this because this is what we're supposed to do? You know, this is what people expect of us. Or are we doing this because this is what God has called us to, and it's our vision and his vision coming together to serve a greater purpose? And when we were honestly started answering that question, we really felt like, you know, we just got caught in this big rut of, we're just doing this because that's the next bigger, greater thing to do. That's just what you're supposed to do, right? And what made us reevaluate that was this really big discontentment that we had, and we knew something needed to change.
Absolutely, and don't get us wrong, we don't want to say that there's anything wrong with pursuing success in your business in the sense of making more money, or you want to buy a home, or you want to fill in the blank. You know, you want to have great clients, you want to, you know, have your images be on the cover of X blog or whatever. There's nothing wrong with those things, but it does become wrong when it's that. When that pursuit becomes why, the why we're doing what we're doing. And I love this, Philippians 4:12, the Apostle Paul saying, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. And as we started talking about, you know, this retreat, we really started going, do we have that? Is that something that's active in our lives every day? Do I look at this and go, I understand that? I understood it on the other end. I remember when I grew up, we were extremely poor. And I had such a tremendous faith, even before I was a believer, even before I had a relationship with God when I turned 17. Before that, I just had a faith that God was always just going to take care of us. I told Jody's mom when I asked her to, I said, I want to marry your daughter. And she said, well, how are you going to take care of her? That was her response. And I said, love. I kid you not.
Yes, it's true.
And she said, go ahead.
Nope, you cannot marry my daughter yet.
It took her 3 weeks before she said I could marry her, because she was very concerned that how was I going to really take care of her, you know? But I had just this faith when I was younger that it would just all work out. And I just, there's such an interesting dichotomy of going from that lifestyle to now really having the ultimate American dream. We've got a great business. We get to help people. People are interested in what we're doing. People are subscribing to our newsletter. When we show up and speak, a bunch of people come. And we're feeling less and less content and realizing that this is creeping in to become our purpose instead of something greater.
Yeah, a big theme for us this year has been identity, and we are really trying to figure out, okay, Lord, what is your calling? What is your purpose? And what is it that you exactly have for us? And I think it's so interesting how, Jeffrey and Julie were talking last night, and a lot of the points that they were hitting on is the same thing that, God has been working on in our hearts. And I think it's just really phenomenal that when we seek the Lord, make his desires, when we seek him first, like, he is going to work the rest of that out.
And Jody and I think, our intention is always to be, as honest as we can be, which is not easy to do. Many of you know it's not easy to really get down to that deep gut level honesty. And I think both of us have been on just this journey lately of really, we feel very distant from the Lord. We have for quite a while, and it really began probably in 2012 when we started losing our children over and 3 times in 1 year, and I felt like I became sort of the strength for my wife because she was dealing with it on a emotional and physical level, and I was just dealing with it on that emotional level. And I think we've over the last 2 years really felt a distancing of and kind of an arm's length. What Jeff said about me, I feel like we're doing that to the Lord because I'm not sure how to trust him. I'm not sure what he's doing, what his purpose is, because I can't grasp it, I can't understand it. And I want to go back to that. And like we said, we've been on this identity journey and trying to really figure out who we are, what is our identity. And I met with this guy, Aaron Walker, who's in a mastermind group, an Eagles group, it's called, with Dave Ramsey and Dan Miller, some of these top guys in Nashville. And Aaron came last Wednesday, to our mastermind group, and he just shared this incredible story of how he was 26 years old, and he's just tenacious, and he wants to win. By the time he was 26, he started working when he was 17, or when he was 12. By the time he was 26, he had sold millions in real estate and had retired, and sold everything, and he started playing golf, for a living. Not for a living, but that was just his life. He'd go and play golf, and all of a sudden, about a year later, he woke up and he said, my life is spent with guys that are in retirement who are 65, and I don't have a purpose. I don't know who I am. And he was an early riser, and he was getting up at noon every day, and he felt just so lost. And success had not given him purpose. Success had not given him a reason to be alive every day. And he knew his reason to be alive was to go to work and to be excellent at what he did and to interact with people. He went back to work to the guy that he originally worked for, who was a Jewish store owner that he tried to buy his business from years ago, and he said no, so he started his own and built all these businesses. And he went back to him and said, can I get a job? I need a job. And he said, you're a millionaire. He said, no, I need something to do. And because he went back with such a purpose, I want to do something great with my life, he took that Hasidic Jewish man, and the guy converted, became a believer. They became business partners, and they did some great things together. Just an amazing story of him realizing that all those things that we think about, I think about that. I'd love to retire in this many years, and I'd love to do this, because then at that point, then we'll be able to do fill in the blank, instead of who am I now? Who am I right now? And what is my purpose right now with what I'm doing?
The Woods talked about, what does your dash on your gravestone say? And, he had made the comment to Zach and the guys. He was like, when I'm on my deathbed, what do I want people to say? And I know that's so cliche, like, when I'm gone, what do I want people to say about me? But, think about that. What, if you died today, what are people going to say about you? What have you left for them? And that became really real to Zach and I when we were in Vegas this last year, and we had a photographer friend. He was, 42? And he just died of a heart attack. And we were sitting in the funeral, and I'm like, and it got really real to me. I was like, what would people say about me right now? What have I done? And I know we've changed lives. I know that, but I feel like my focus is off. I feel like our focus needs to be on the right things. And, so this guy was telling the guys, people are going to say, oh, he had a nice boat. Oh, he had a nice house. Well, who cares? That is easy how we get so caught up in that stuff. And we are not saying it is not nice. It is not cool to have nice things. Like, I feel like the Lord wants to bless us. He wants to love on us, and it's great to have nice things, then we can bless other people with it. Like, I am not saying, like, we need to be in poverty and, like, oh, woe is me. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is our focus. What is our focus on?
Yeah, and we weren't planning to talk about that story, but I think that did really rock us in the last month of having Mike pass away. And we weren't super close friends. Ironically, we were talking, texting on the phone the day before he passed away. And he was 43, the picture of health, amazing, talented guy. If anybody knows Jeremy Cowart, you may. It's his brother who passed away. And I just remember when we were at the funeral, 700 people came, and no one talked about how awesome his photography was. Nobody talked about how talented he was at, lighting. People talked about his smile. They talked about how every time you left meeting with Mike, you felt encouraged.
How he loved his kids. How he couldn't stop talking about his kids.
Yeah, and that really rocked me, because I thought, my number one goal when I meet a photographer, a small business owner, is to go, is there a tool that I have to help you make more sales? Is there a way that I can show you how to grow your business in some way? And that's all I think about. Instead of being present, like Jeff and Julia talked about, what is their actual need? Am I giving them advice and trying to help them go somewhere and they shouldn't even be going there in the first place? Am I giving them directions down the wrong road? Earlier today, I had an amazing conversation about anxiety and about stress and about something that I just mentioned in passing that I neglected to talk about more, which was just this overwhelming anxiety and depression that came over me beginning in 2011. And really, it began a long time before that, building our business. And in 2011, it came to a head where I felt like I was going to die. And I shared a little bit about that last year. But I realized that when I speak about some of those close, personal, intimate things, it draws people out that go, I want to hear more about that. And that's something that I realize can change someone's life, even more than teaching them how to make another $10,000 in their business. And that's fine, as long as that's not my purpose. That's not my driving force behind everything that I'm doing.
I love this quote. What you do doesn't determine who you are, but it's who you are that determines what you do. And I feel oftentimes we get that so twisted, right? Like, okay, we're photographers and we're going to do this and we're going to go after business and marketing and sales and stuff. And not that that's wrong, like that's helping plenty of people, and they're able to bless people because of that. Again, not that that's wrong, but our identity can't come from that.
Jody and I have been on this identity journey we've been talking about, trying to find out who we truly are. And we started going to this class by this guy named Neil Anderson, who has this book called The 7 Steps to Freedom. And he talks exclusively and mostly in that entire book about identity and who you are in Christ, and speaking that out constantly, who you are. And it was really powerful. Going and just getting our mind into that mindset. And even as we were driving here, our talk was, done. We were formatting a little bit, and we had neglected to listen to the last 20% of his audiobook. So Jody popped it in, and as we started listening to it, everything he was saying was exactly the things that we had written for the entire talk, and we started just trying to let that sink in. There's these portions of that book where it just lists out 20 things that God says who we are. And as I listened to them over and over, I'm just in the car with tears coming down my face going, I think I'm this, and God is saying that I'm something completely different, and I want that so much more than what I've been pursuing, because that gives me so much more meaning, so much more hope, so much more purpose in my life, what He's created me to be. Jody and I...
So Michael had sent out a survey for you all to fill out, just kind of what are the main things that you're looking for to get from your business, from your marriage. And we love reading through those, because it's like, oh, we're not alone, this is awesome. And two, it really gives us a chance to see the heart of everyone here. And it's our intent. We want to connect with all of the couples here. Connect, get it? But it doesn't necessarily happen because there's only so much time. And so this gives us a little glimpse into your hearts and your needs. And a common theme that we kept seeing over and over and over again is the balance of the business with your marriage and with your family. And that is a huge reoccurring theme that we kept seeing over and over and over again.
And I think that Jody and I had this very fortunate and unique perspective coming into this year, coming into this retreat even, where last year, and we're going to share more about this coming up, about kind of the direction of where we feel like we're called to go and the struggle with being willing to do it. But last year, anyone that's on our email list or anybody that follows us on Facebook or any of those, people out there, in which you may be some of those people, we made an announcement and we said, kind of quietly, we're taking 2013 off and we're focusing on raising our, having our son, and we really, really wanted that. And that was, a short piece of information for people. That was a year and a half, 2 years in the making for us to be able to do that. And we went into 2013, and when we got around September, October, we decided we were going to be done working for a couple of months, and we were very fortunate to be able to do that. And we wanted to have 3 or 4 or 5 weeks before Jackson came, and 5 or 6, 7 weeks after he came, to just primarily focus. This was such a big, it was a constant fear, and I talked about that last year, of just wondering if he was going to get here, because I was afraid every day. And then when he came, I wanted my attention on what I thought my attention needed to be on, which was taking care of my wife and learning how to fall in love with my son. And we went into that season, and it kind of kept getting extended a little bit and a little bit longer, and we just kept staying in this season of we were building our house and finishing our house, and we were focused, a lot of our energy was focused there, and our time was focused on our son. And as we went into this, really about 4 or 5 months of not really doing much with our business, we were kind of off social media a lot. We weren't building any content, sending out information. We were not booking anything of any kind. I feel like God has used that, and I'm even realizing it now as I'm saying it to you, that God has used that time for me to turn everything off for a little while, to reposition and to refocus and to go, what really does matter here? What really is important here? Is it important for you to keep earning, to keep winning, to keep growing? And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But what is the ultimate purpose of our lives, and are we set on that one thing, what that is?
And the thing is a lot of us are trying to figure out how we can fit our family into our business and those other important things. You've got soccer games and all this other junk, right, that just clutters up our lives, and we're like, okay, I have this business. How in the world am I going to fit time in with my spouse? How am I going to fit time in with my kids? What about community, real relationships? And we just try and kind of place all of that into this big thing called business that dominates our lives. But our focus is off. It's, okay, we need the Lord first. We need our family, my spouse, our family, community, real deep relationships. And then from there, business needs to fit in. And, it's funny that you mentioned that, us taking this time off, because Jackson has been our number one priority, these months, just focusing on him and just getting settled as a family. And it's been the best thing. And so now we're getting back in the office, and we're totally like, okay, how can we fit work into what we've been doing now? And I think it's been really great to approach it from that angle. It's been such a blessing. But oftentimes our business is numero uno, and everything else gets the short end of the stick. And again, what are we called to do? Is when I die and go to heaven, is the Lord going to say, well done, good and faithful servant, you made a buttload of money, great. And you're like, no, that's not, it's going to be sitting here rotting away. Jackson's going to be spending it all. No, I'm just kidding. And he's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant. You brought people to me. You honored me. You glorified me through your life. And that's what I want. And that is what is truly fulfilling.
And I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't want to lose sight of this incredible gift that's in front of me, and realize one thing, very, very critical, as we've been given this amazing gift of Jackson, that God gave me another gift first, which was my wife.
Yeah.
And yeah. But how quickly did I let our business become more important in many ways? Because it's gotten more of my time. It's gotten more of my energy. It's gotten more of my resources. I've had conversations with some of you that, this last day and a half of saying, we're working, we're focused, we're getting things done, we're shooting, we're whatever. And then when we get home and we want to veg and we want to watch some shows and I don't have a lot of energy to listen to my wife's deep needs, we go to, and it goes from, we used to pray every night when we were making $24,000 a year living on her salary and I didn't have a job. We were praying every night, going to bed, having these deep, intimate conversations and just enjoying.
Not quite like soul sex, but it was good.
But we were so intentional, and then we let these other things kind of muddy the waters, get in the way, and now I'm seeing I have this complete, devotion to my son. But how quickly can that go? How many of you have kids, and pretty soon life starts to creep into that? And I don't want that. I want to reset right now. And I challenge you guys right now, this is a time to reset. This is a time to go, this is not my purpose. I'm going to make this business fit into my life, and I'm not going to fit my life into this business anymore. It's over. It's done. It's just not worth it. It's not worth what we talked about, which was standing on the edge of complete anxiety to the point where my mind is shutting my body down, trying to tell me to stop. It's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it to be close to the edge. I'd rather be deviated way over here and be on the safe side of, man, I just overgave to the relationships and to the people that mattered the most, and it took me another 3 years to get to retirement because of it. That's okay, But the really powerful thing that I think will happen, and I know will happen, is God is faithful. And when we focus our purpose on that, He can then open up the increase. Instead of us going to try to take it and try to get it, He can then really open up the increase for us.
And it starts with really taking a look at yourself. And, all of you ask yourself this question: why am I driven? What's driving me? I love what Julia said when she wakes up in the morning. She prayed, Lord, you be the first thing that's on my mind when I wake up in the morning. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking of everything I need to do today. What are all of my things that I get to accomplish? And I feel like that's a good reflection of my priorities and what's driving me and my goals. It's not, I just want to, well, it is a bit. I want to hang out with Jackson because he's crying and it's time to get up in the morning. But it's okay, what can I accomplish today? As soon as Jackson goes down for a nap, okay, what am I going to knock out? What am I going to do? And so what is driving you? What is it that motivates you to get out of the day every morning? Get out of bed every morning, every day.
Here's what Neil Anderson says success is: accepting God's goal for our lives and by His grace becoming what He has called us to be. That's success. What has He called me to be? And if I can pursue that, I am going to be a complete success. And Jody and I want that to be what our lives are about. I'm telling you, the best times that I've had recently are the times when we've put our business in its place, even at the sake of it's costing us something. It is costing us something. It's costing us money. It's costing us opportunities. It's costing us many things, short term probably. But it's giving us something so much greater, which is the ability to look at what's really going on here. What does my wife need? What does my son need? What are our friends that are coming over every week that I'm just not there for because I'm thinking about the job or the next thing that's coming?
And contentment will never come from finding that perfect family balance. It's never going to come from finally making that payday. It's never going to come from finally getting the cover of People magazine. It's never going to come. And I think that's why it's so important to realize that can't be our focus, because it is not going to be fulfilling.
Absolutely. Neil Anderson says, discovering our own uniqueness in Christ. This is fulfillment. Discovering our own uniqueness in Christ, using our gifts and talents to edify others and to glorify the Lord. It's powerful, When we are using our unique gifts and talents to build each other up, to draw into deep relationship with one another, and to glorify God through that process. That is fulfilling. Earlier, I talked about a very practical way to do this, which was talking about vision, mission, values, and goals. And using that, that system for your business, for your life, it allows you to take in a very practical way to take what we're talking about here and put it into practice so that when you step out into your business, when it's time to do business, the business is fulfilling the purpose of what you're called to do. And that's powerful. That's a very powerful thing, and that's going to change many, many times. And one thing that we're going to talk about here coming up is that we have to be willing that when God changes the vision, to step into the vision and to not be afraid. And I love this. Business is a medium of exchange to do life, and it's not the purpose of your life. It's just a way to get in, to interact with somebody else so that we can edify them. That's really what it's designed to do. It's a way they need something and we can offer it, and now we have a chance to get into their lives. If you spend some time talking with Julia, spend some time talking with Caitlin about them ministering in a really deep way with their clients. That's what we want our lives to be about. You guys are our clients. You guys are a part of our business, and we want our lives to be able to do that, to edify you, to build you up, to give you great tools that can help your marriages grow and be better.
And it's so easy to let the chaos of life make us not content and make us not fulfilled, and just to really steal that peace away from us by having our priorities out of whack. And I love this definition of what peace is.
Peace is an established internal order. And Neil Anderson says, it does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. That's what peace is. Like Jody said earlier, you're never going to feel peace and fulfillment and joy when you finally get life balance, when you finally fill in the blank. It's available to us right now. Peace is simply available. And it's not something we even have to ask for. This is a conversation I've been having a lot. And I've been conversating with myself, trying to teach this to myself, that peace is not something we even ask for. Peace is something we just receive. It's something we take because it's already been given. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, right? He has given us peace. He died, said it's finished. He's sitting down at the right hand of the Father. He's not standing up because there's nothing left for him to do. He doesn't need to do anything for you that he's not already done. And we just have to do this. Every day, can I receive that right there? Can I take that peace into my life? And now I have it. Now I can live that peace. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, that story that I told was from my friend Jenny Oates, our friend Jenny Oates and her husband Nathan, who are some spiritual mentors of ours. And I was going through a chaotic time where, I was trying to get peace by me controlling situations, controlling the cleanliness of my house, controlling whether or not we can make more money. I feel like I can control that. And if we earn, then I can get peace in knowing that we're taken care of. And Jenny called me out hardcore, and she said, Zach, you have a trauma from your past, which I was broke. We had nothing, and I'm afraid to be there again. And I had a chaotic home, very messy, and it was an embarrassment. I could never bring my friends to my house, is how bad it was. It was a trauma from my past, both of those things. She said, you have a trauma from your past. If you're taking notes, this is something to write down. You have a trauma in your past. You try to control it in your present, and it creates chaos in your future. And you can never receive peace through you trying to control those things in your life.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, you have a trauma from your past, something that happened to you. You don't want it to happen again, so therefore you try to control it in your present, which then creates chaos in your future because you cannot receive the peace you're looking for from trying to control it. And I did that with my home. I had a conversation earlier about how I love the idea of cooking because it's science and art, and I love both of those things together. But I literally could not do it, and Jody can attest to this. because it made the kitchen messy. And some people will hear that, and I've told people that, and they go, oh, that's funny. But they don't realize this is a deep-seated issue of my past that is literally makes me want to cry thinking about it because of the chaos. I would stand behind my wife as she wanted to cook, and I would clean behind her, and she would be so agitated because I couldn't be calm. I couldn't be at peace. You're cooking dinner and you're making a meal for your family. This is a time of gathering. This is a holy thing, honestly, cooking and eating together. And I couldn't partake in that because of the chaos. So I tried to control it, and it made it more chaotic for my life. And when I realized in that moment that that's what I was doing, that self-actualization happened to me, and I went, oh my gosh, I need to change this about myself. I need to realize that my peace will never come from earning enough. My peace will never come from being successful enough. My peace will never come from providing a fat enough bank account for my wife, or providing enough security, or providing retirement, or from having the right friends, or having people like me, or having enough people like me and not enough people not like me online and social media, and the list goes on and on. It's only going to come from the realization that Jesus has provided peace, and it's available to me right now. That's the only way I can get it.
I love what was said last night, because I think, okay, well, if things are right between Zach and myself and our family is right, then I'm going to be content, and then I'm going to be fulfilled. And I loved what the Wood said last night, is like, God is the only one who is going to be able to fulfill us. When this is right and when our family is right, that's just a supplement to that. And oftentimes as a wife, I find myself, if only I could connect with Zach today in a real deep way, then I'll be okay. And that's not truth.
So we want to talk about priorities, and we want to talk about purpose. As we just have a few slides left. We'll have a little bit of things for you guys to do before we head to small groups. Jody and I, we've been seeing marriage counselors for 3.5 years.
No, I think longer than that.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
We love them. They're Dee and Barbie.
Dee and Barbie,
So cute.
yeah. But amazing, a couple in their 60s. They've been counseling for 35, 40 years. Incredible mentors. Sometimes you have to pay to get a great mentor, and it's worth it, you know. And we pay too much because there's 2 of them. You know, there's 2, so you got to pay more. But they give you an extra 15 minutes, which is awesome. But I'm telling you, man, the best financial investment we probably ever made was to invest into them. And we were meeting with Dee and Barbie 2 years ago, I would say now. And we were talking about priorities and feeling like God had been calling us to do something drastic, a drastic change in our business. And that we were afraid to do it because it's not what you do in this industry. And they said, yeah, that's interesting. You know, you told us you were going to do that a year ago. And we realized at that moment that we were living in fear to live out what we were called to do, to put our priorities straight, and to do what we knew we were supposed to be doing. And we've been feeling this pull for a long time. We love what we've been able to do. We love that we've been able to build this incredible business and shoot these amazing clients. And I feel like God had to literally pull the plug out, you know, pull the carpet out from underneath us with how we felt about doing that job in order to get our attention.
And the thing is, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Okay. And we were killing it with weddings. We had a killer system. It was great. We knew what we were doing, and it was really profitable, but we wouldn't have stopped on our own unless the Lord started to change our hearts, because we were so driven and we were so focused on that. And, you know, we just kept finding ourselves very discontent. Leading up to weddings, we'd both get anxiety. Not saying you have anxiety about something, then you just cut it off and that's the solution. That's not what I'm saying. But in our case, like, the Lord started changing our hearts towards weddings, and we were like, what in the world is going on? And we realized that He was calling us to stop putting our focus into that, but putting our focus into continuing to change lives of other photographers and other photographer believers, and moving us in that direction.
And we started having conversations with our, you know, friends in the industry who said, you better not do that. You better not teach and not do, because nobody's gonna pay attention to you anymore. They're gonna think that you couldn't do it anymore. And I just kept listening to that voice and going, we got to keep doing this. We just got to keep doing this. And I love that scripture that says a house divided against itself cannot stand. And I really believe firmly that we were trying to do that. We were trying to run this business and be focused on it, and trying to run another business, trying to enable photographers to do great things. And that can't stand. It can't stand within our hearts. And we started becoming extremely discontent. A week leading up to a wedding, I was like ill, practically feeling ill. And there was no reason for it. We knew how to do it. We had a great system. Our clients loved us. They were happy to pay a lot of money. You'd think you would just keep showing up. It's great. And we were just very, very unhappy. And at that moment, with Dee and Barbie, we realized if God has got a purpose for us, if he has a vision for us, and we know clearly what it is, and what we're excited, what is bringing us to life, what is making us want to move into a new direction, I don't care if you're the only person called to do that on the planet. You got to do it. You got to step out and do it. John the Baptist was the only one. He was the only one leading, making a way for Christ to come. But he stepped out, and people thought he was crazy. People made fun of him. People called him names. When you see David dancing before the ark, people are calling him undignified and an embarrassment. And he didn't care. He stepped out and did what he knew he was called to do regardless. And we said, we're going to do that. There's nothing to fall back on. When we're walking in God's will, he is going to take us where we're supposed to go, period.
In our small group last night, there was the question of how much are you willing to risk for your dreams? And I asked the question, is it a risk if that's what God is calling you to do? And I don't think it is. I love this quote I wrote in my Bible when I was a teenager. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And he will equip us. And so something that we wanted to say is, we want our lives to be of significance, and not that shooting weddings wasn't of significance, because as you can see, and you'll hear from Caitlin sharing, like having your wedding business, your whatever you shoot, like that can be of huge significance, changing lives. But God was calling us to something different for us. And so I love this quote of what true, so we kind of hold everything up, what we're doing against this.
What is forgotten in time is of little significance, and what is remembered for eternity is of great significance. And we want that to be the driving force of our life. I want to be doing things that are going to have an impact for eternity. That's my primary goal. And when we are out of God's calling and out of God's will, and I've said this earlier, that I don't believe God really cares what you do. And don't get me wrong when I say that. I do believe that God does call us to specific things. And we know that God had called us away from something. And he couldn't allow the things that we needed to do to be done if we had focused on trying to just keep running that business and running that business. You people wouldn't be sitting in this room. You wouldn't have been in this room last year if we kept doing that, if we weren't able to put the brakes on one thing and free up part of our lives so that we could do something else. And we want to challenge you guys with that as well. All of you are called by God to be significant in somebody's life, in someone's life. And something may be getting in the way of that. It may be that you're giving too much time to your business. It may be that you're working too much. It may be that fill in the blank.
Yeah, I want you all to go back to your notes and look at the things that you wrote down at the beginning of the things that you wanted to see success in. And look at those in light of what true significance is. And do those need to be tweaked? Do those need to be refocused or realigned?
Last Christmas, not this previous one, but the one previous to that, right? My mom's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, a year ago Christmas, my mom had a problem with her knee, and she had to have a surgery on her knee, and she was going to my older sister Sarah, to just recover because she needed somebody to help take care of her for a couple of weeks. And so my mom went down there, and And Jody and I are just, we're just driving force, and we're coming out of this, this is a year and 4 months ago now, we're coming out of this coma of just drive, just go, just do, just win, just succeed, just build, just do something, just go, 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 go. And we're getting, right in that beginning stage of deciding to take 2013 off and winding down the wedding business that God had been just hammering us for the last year and a half previous to that. And
So we find ourselves in the midst of just, we're just driving and killing it. And a lot of circumstances had come together for Zach's mom to put her in a really difficult place.
My sister calls me on the phone, and she says, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" I remember we were in the factory in Franklin, and I was just we were at a pottery thing making cups or something, and my sister calls me and she says, "Hey, can I chat with you?" And my sister calls me twice a year, maybe. I'm like, "Sure, what's going on?" And she goes, I don't think Mom has clean underwear." And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, "She just keeps washing them over and over. I don't think she has money to buy underwear." And I was just like I am now, going, what? Here we are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, running this successful business. We're going to build this house that year, and we're being all these things to all these people, and here's my mom. She doesn't have clothes. And I'm just like, what? I almost couldn't compute in my head that I was so far away from, this is my mom, you know what I mean? She gave birth to me, she raised us in nothing, she sacrificed everything to make sure that we had food. She helped my friends live in our 700 square foot house when they had, their stepfathers were abusing them. This is my mom. And here I am, I don't even understand where she is in her life at this moment. And like Jody said, I don't want you to give this picture that my mom is in this destitute place. She's not now. But at the time, she had been 10 years separated from all of us, and she had 2 jobs, lost one. She's always struggled with finances and with controlling that. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden she was in a very difficult position. And she doesn't ask for help. My mom helps. She doesn't ask for help.
And we had no clue.
And I had no idea what was going on, and my sister's asking me for $500. "Can you send me $500? Because my sister doesn't make any money, and she needs to buy my mom clothes. And I sent her a check overnighted the second I got home, and I was like, oh my gosh. But that really woke us up. That was part of that beginning of 2013 of going, what is my purpose? Am I so disconnected from the things that are the most significant in my life that I don't even understand what's going on with them? And we really went through this renewal phase of just going, where are our families in this? How are we connected to our blood relatives, to our kin, to our deep closest friends that we've been gone out of town so often, helping people that I'm never going to meet again, that I can't help them. This has got to change. And I'm not saying that your ministry may be to do all those things. And it was our ministry for a long time, but not at the sake of my priorities, of what really, really mattered. That my relationship with the Lord, my relationship and my complete, utter devotion to my spouse, to my son, to my family, to my mom, and to a couple of close friends. I don't need any more people right now. I need to be devoted to those people. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, to just go. I just literally felt like my head was underwater, and I put my head up and somebody else was drowning, and they needed my help. And that was huge. That was really huge for me. And I just feel like this renewed sense of focus of who I'm supposed to be moving towards and what I'm supposed to be and who I really am. Anything else you want to say? I can't read. So as we close this up, we want to ask you guys, are you really driven by a true purpose? By something that ultimately truly matters? Or are you looking at something else? Are you focused on something that you have to keep going after over and over again because it doesn't ever fill you up. It doesn't ever fill that need that you really, really have. And there's no reason to keep moving in that direction. You don't have to. All those things are great, earning and having a great business and being successful and getting published on a blog and having a lot of people follow you on Twitter and having respect. Those are all cool things. There's nothing innately wrong with those. But what's wrong with it is when that becomes what we're about, our purpose. And actually, I mentioned it to Nathan, but I'm going to have just Nathan just play us a little something like we did last night. And Jody and I want to challenge you guys to just take 5 minutes by yourself without your spouse, because I want you guys to bring those together when you're finished. But take 5 minutes and write down the things that you right now, that you're chasing. What are you seeking after? What is the driving force behind what you're doing day in and day out? Write 2 or 3 of those things down. And then evaluate which one of those things have true significance, if any. And if it's okay if some of them don't. But then let's reevaluate. After 5 or 10 minutes, come back with your spouse, or 5 minutes, and read those together and go, what do we feel like we're truly chasing? Are these things significant? Are these the things that when people show up to my deathbed or my funeral are going to go, I am so glad that you pursued this your whole life. Thank you for pursuing that.
So let's take some time to do that while Nathan plays. When you're done, then just join up with your spouse. And then after a couple songs, we'll go ahead and just dismiss right into small groups.